Good morning, students. Today we will be studying a remaining part in human anatomy and physiology. The name of the topic is Introduction to Genetics. In that, we have finished chromosome part. Next part is inheritance pattern in humans. Now, first we will see what is the meaning of genetics. Now, what is genetics? It is the study of transmission of body features, whether that features are similar or same, dissimilar, and that features are transmitted from parents to offspring. This study is called as genetics. A person known as Gregor Mendel, he was an Austrian monk. What was his name? Gregor Mendel. This Austrian monk, he is called as father of genetics because he studied some characteristics in pea plant as he was very much interested in the nature. That is how the genetics came into focus. Now next we will see what is the term called as heredity. I know you have studied all these concepts in your school and college days, but here again we will brush this concept so you can recall whatever you have studied. Heredity means what? Again, it is the transmission of genetically based characteristics, features from parents to the offspring. So that is what is we are calling it as a heredity. Okay. Then next term, if you see, it is nothing but character. What is a character? Character, it is an inheritable. Inheritable means what? Which is inherited or which has been taken from our parents. So it is an inheritable feature and that is called as a character. Next is what is a trait. Trait means what? Alternative form of character. What is a trait? Alternative form of a character. Now if we see the examples, I will show you some examples of character and trait. The first example is color of eye. Now color of eye is called as a character and trait will be brown or blue. Okay. Second example commonly which we are seeing is earlobe. So again earlobe is what? It is a character. What will be the trait? Either the earlobe is attached or it is separated. That is a trait. Attached or separated. One more example we can see, that is RH factor. So what we can say, RH factor is a characteristic, character. And what will be the trait? Yes, RH positive or RH negative. Okay. So I hope you have understood what is the meaning of character and trait. Okay. Next concept we will move on to what is a gene. Okay. When we say genes or when we say gene, what does it means? It means it is a part of DNA segment, not the entire DNA. It is a part of DNA segment which determines the hereditary characteristic. Okay. And what is a genome? Genome is the full complement of the DNA present in an organism. That is what is the difference between a gene and genome. Again I repeat, what is a gene? It is a part of a DNA, not the entire DNA complement. Okay, and this DNA, it determines the hereditary characteristic. Whereas genome, it is the full complement of DNA which is present in an organism. Okay, that is what is the meaning of a gene and genome. Next concept is alleles. So again this is a very important concept. Please listen carefully. Now what is allele? Every gene has two alternative pair of characteristics, and these characteristics are shown in different way. Okay, so an alternative form is called as an allele. I'll give you one example. If you might have seen, many individuals have the characteristic of tongue rolling. Okay, some do not have this character. Okay, why this is? Because the gene, the character is tongue rolling, and the gene, that is what is the allele. The allele for that particular gene is of two types. What is that first type? The individual can roll the tongue. The second individual cannot roll the tongue. Okay. Now, I hope you have understood what is an allele. Now, based on this concept, there are two types of alleles: dominant and recessive. Now, the name indicates dominant means what? It is that type of allele which is very super powerful and it expresses its character. Whereas recessive means it is that allele which is suppressive, which is not able to express its character. Okay, so there are two types of alleles, dominant and recessive. Every individual has a pair of chromosomes on which these alleles are present. Okay, but that allele either may be dominant or it may be recessive. So what is that concept further? Again, related with allele is phenotype and genotype. Okay, what is the meaning of phenotype? Phenotype means it is an observable characteristic which is due to the genes or controlled by the genes. Whereas genotype means what? It is the sequence of genes which are present in that particular organism or individual. So what we can say is, depending upon this genotype, the phenotype of an individual is dependent. Okay, we will see this with the help of the same example, that is tongue roller. Before going to that, there is a way of representation of this dominant allele and recessive allele. According to the genetics law, dominant allele is always represented in capital letter. So if we consider the example of tongue roller, capital letter R is a dominant allele, and if we consider the recessive allele, it is always indicated as small letter. So here we will take R. So this indicates dominant allele and this indicates recessive allele. Okay, so allele and its relationship with phenotype and genotype, that we will see with the help of one example. So what is the example again? The tongue roller. Now for phenotype, what is the phenotype? Tongue roller. Okay. Now for this phenotype, what is the genotype? Possible genotype. That means what will be the genetic consideration. So first, either the individual be homologous dominant. That means what? Homologous means it is having same pair of dominant alleles, that is R. Second possibility called as heterozygous dominant means what? Heterozygous means two type of alleles are present, but the dominant is there. So one capital R, one small r. That indicates the individual will have the characteristic of tongue roller. Okay. So this is what is a possible genotype. But those which are having both the recessive alleles, their phenotype will be non-tongue roller. That means they will not be able to roll their tongue. Okay, so that is how the alleles, phenotype and genotype are related. Okay, now next one more characteristic is X-linked inheritance. X-linked inheritance, or also called as sex inheritance, means what? It is the presence of a gene, or you can say it is the presence of a trait, or that is character, which is due to the presence of an allele, a specific allele, exclusively either on X or Y chromosome. And example of this is, that means the person with such type of inheritance, they may show color blindness or they may show hemophilia disease. Means what? The male as the female, they may have both recessive type of X-linked inheritance, or the allele which is present on this chromosome, they are of recessive type. So the offspring which is born will be either color blind or the disease may be suffering from a hemophilia. So again, this is one of the character or feature which is called as X-linked inheritance. Next important is Mendel. Now we have seen Gregor Mendel was the father of genetics who have discovered all these things. So he, based on all his studies and experiment, he gave 3 laws. First law is called as law of dominance. What does it indicate? As the word indicates, he said that there are 2 contrasting factors, and that factors are either dominant or recessive. Dominant means it is able to express itself, so it is called as dominant. Whereas recessive means that factor is not able to express and it is always suppressive. Second law he suggested was law of segregation, or also called as law of separation. That means these 2 factors, whatever these 2 factors which are discovered, dominant and recessive, these are separated from each other during the gamete formation. And third one is law of independent assortment. Law of independent assortment means what? That means both the alleles, dominant and recessive, when they are distributed, one allele is distributed to one gamete, the second one to the second gamete. So they are independent of each other. No one is dependent on each other. That means distribution of one allele is independent of each other. So again, that are the 3 important laws which were put forward by the studies done by Mendel. Okay, so I think these are the basics which you should know in the introduction to genetics, or we can say inheritance pattern in human beings. You go through the PowerPoint presentation. In that I have included certain examples also. For example, Rh factor, then hemophilia. So you will understand again better. Thank you.